Hi, my friends. Leo from Zen Habits here, and I'm glad to be here with you today. And today we're going to talk about facing a hard task that you've been avoiding, something that you've been procrastinating on, you're feeling some kind of inner resistance about, and something that I call activation energy. So let's say you really, there's something that's been sitting on the shelf for a couple of weeks, couple of months, you want to like actually start to move on. And you're just really having trouble getting into it. And that could be a meaningful project. It could be, I want to finally start exercising again and get in shape. I want to start changing my diet. I want to start meditating. Something you've been putting off, but you've been wanting to do, and it's going to be a meaningful change. And actually, you know that once you get started, you're going to actually love it, right? Like you feel good about your life, about moving forward with this. Maybe you actually enjoy the activity, but you're just having a hard time getting started. And what is required is to overcome that initial energy. There's a bit of a higher requirement to get started with something. Once you get going, you're in the flow. Like continuing is actually a lot easier than getting started. So this is about like inertia, right? Inertia, when you have to start it, you have to give it this initial push. And once it's going, actually, you need a lot less energy to keep it going. So that's what we're facing when we're facing something that we've been avoiding, putting off, and part of it is emotional. Um, yeah, we add on extra guilt or shame or like, I should be doing this and I'm not, and I feel really bad and I don't want to think about it. And so there's this like emotional layer that comes on that puts extra weight on something when actually just getting started is a very simple act. So for example, let's say I was sick for a while and I want to start exercising again, but I'm like, I'm feeling, like I've been putting it off and I feel bad about it. And so I'm adding this extra weight. Whereas the actual act of getting started again is like, let me just go out for a little bit of a walk. Or let me just start doing like a very simple workout, maybe a few push ups. And once I get started with that, then the next day is easier. And the next day is even easier. The activation energy actually really drops each day because I've been going and the ball's rolling now. But in the beginning, I have some extra weight from the emotional part of it. And so that's normal. We have that, and we don't even notice that we're adding this extra weight. So one thing I would really encourage, if you actually want to face this, is remove as much emotional weight as possible. What if it could just be like light and easy, and you're just getting moving? And I don't mean literally moving. I mean just moving with the thing that you've been avoiding facing. So it could be, exercise. It could be diet. It could be meditation, but it could also be this project. I'll give you an example in my life. I have this book that I'm going to write this year. As I record this, there's a book project that I've been wanting to do. And at the end of last year, I was excited about it. And then the new year hit, and a number of things happened in my personal life, from my family getting sick, the flu, then I did, and deaths in the family, and a number of other things happened. And so I put it off, right? Put it off for January. And then in February came and I actually had space to do it, but I just had a hard time actually getting that going. And so I had this emotional weight. The actual getting started is actually not that hard. I can just start, open up a document and start typing some notes and start an outline and just get the ball rolling. But I'm adding on emotional weight. So this is something that we don't even notice we're doing. So I would really encourage you just to notice, am I adding some guilt, some shame, some like disappointment in myself, frustration with myself, stuff that I should be doing and I'm not? We have this idea of how we should be. And that is just when we don't meet up to that, we are like, I should be more disciplined about this. I should be more motivated. I should be more whatever. And we're not. So we feel like we're letting ourselves down. We're not doing a good enough job. We're not good people for some reason. When all it is like, I am not meeting up to the idea of what I think I should be. And therefore, I'm just going to crap on myself for it. And it sounds funny when I say it that way, but That's kind of the hope is like if I crap on myself for it, then I'll get my act together. And it doesn't work. We're actually adding extra weight, making it harder. And so remove all of that weight if you can. Just like, I don't need to feel any shame for it. Let's just get going. Why waste energy on shaming myself, guilting myself? Okay, so there's the emotional weight, and then there's just like, there's fear, right? So there's a fear of, I might fail at this, I might embarrass myself, I might not do a good job. But there's also a fear of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm taking the right steps. I need to get everything under control and it feels like too much and I'm overwhelmed. So this is more emotional weight we're adding on because of fear. And fear is normal. It's natural. We're human. We feel fear. But can we just start to get present to that fear, just feel what it is here and just be like, yeah, I have some fear here. It's going to be a part of this journey because I'm entering into the unknown here. But it's not a big deal. I can have fear and notice that it's there and feel it, but then actually start to take some action. Okay, so activation energy. How do we actually get that going? What can we do? Well, there's a few tips that I want to say besides lowering the emotional weight. There's a few things we can do. Number one is to get inspired. Maybe watching this video will be exactly what you need. You're like, Leo is doing his book project and he's like getting things moving, and so I'm gonna start to get things moving. So finding some kind of inspiration, maybe it's a book, a YouTube channel, a podcast, someone in your life who's doing something really cool, and you're like, I want to be doing something cool too. I want to dust off my creative project. I want to start that business that I've always been wanting to do. I want to start working with people and helping them because I have gifts to offer. I want to start expressing myself into the world more freely. And so when you get inspired, when you see like, oh, what do I really want that I could actually create, then we start to feel more expansive, more motivated. We're doing it out of this idea of like, I really want to do it. There's like a passion that we start to have. So I want to encourage you to find that because that is actually activation energy. That's what it's required to get going. So inspiration. Now we can do it without inspiration, but it's not as much fun. We're doing it more because like I feel like I should be disciplined and I want to like make myself do all these things. That only lasts for so long and it's not that inspiring, that exciting. And so just get some inspiration either from within or without. Either way, doesn't matter. Maybe both. Like whatever you can get, take it, right? So so that's the first thing is find some kind of inspiration. And for that, you might look outward, but you might also ask yourself, what would I really like if everything were possible? If I didn't have any fear, if I really trusted myself, what would I really like to be doing? And it could be, again, exercise, eating, meditation, that kind of stuff. But it could be a creative project. It could be a business. It could be something really meaningful to you you've been wanting to do. Okay, so that's the first thing is inspiration and ask yourself, what would you really like if you fully trusted yourself, you didn't have fear, you had no obstacles? What would you like to be doing or what would you like to create in the world? Okay, second thing is commitment. Sometimes what's required is for us to just say, I am going to do this. We just put a stake in the ground and say, this is happening. It is happening. I am going to do this. I'm committed to it. Even if we're not sure. Maybe especially if we're not sure. If there's a lot of uncertainty, we have self-doubt, that's okay. But can we just say, I am going to make this happen? So I'm inviting you to just put into the comments here or share with one other person or a group of people, I am going to do this. And I'll give you some examples with my book project. I told a small group of people who I coach, hey, just like you, I'm going to commit to stuff, and here's me doing it. I'm going to commit to this book project. I'm going to write out a timeline with some milestones. I'm going to tell you like what's my plan for actually making this happen. And this is, I'm sharing it with you, and I'm committed, and here are the dates. So I have a date of when I'm going to be done with the writing, with the editing, and sending it to a book proposal and then sending it to publishers. I have dates for all of those things. And even before that, like instead of just done with a manuscript, here are the dates where I'm going to be done with these different chapters. So I've committed to this group. And then to step up that commitment, I actually opened my book writing up to a small group of beta testers who are going to be receiving the chapter of my book and then giving me feedback, putting into action. Because they've now signed up, and that was just today that they signed up, I am committed. So if you put a stake in the ground and say, I am committed to doing this, stuff starts to move. And that is just the act of speaking it. The activation energy of saying, I am going to do this is actually really low. That's just saying, I am going to do this by this date. It's a sentence. If you just tell someone this one sentence, then you will start to move. Action will start to happen. So activation energy, it doesn't take a lot to say, speak into the world to one or more of the people, I am going to do this. And once you've done that, you've committed to it, and you might not be sure that you can do it. And so that's why we don't do it. We don't actually commit ourselves because we're not sure we can do it. But I invite you to commit yourself even if you're not sure. And that will have you start to move things forward. And maybe you'll fall short. So what? At least you started moving. But you're going to be moving. So that's the second one is so inspiration and then commitment. Just speak your commitment to the world, to one or more people. The third thing is actually block off some chunks of time to actually make it happen. Like it's great to say it, but now you have to actually do something to make it happen. And what I do is I created focus sessions that I'm doing with one or more other people. So every weekday I have a focus session to work on my book for an hour long, and I have more than one person coming to those focus sessions. If you want to join some of my focus sessions, come to my Fearless Living Academy, which is fearlessliving.zenhabits.net, and come check it out. And we have focus sessions in there, and you can commit yourself to others, and you can actually work with all of this. So Fearless Living Academy, come join us. This is exactly what we're doing. We have a thing called the practice, where you're actually committing yourself to practicing with this. The other thing I'm going to share is besides those three things, which is inspiration, commitment, and then focus sessions or whatever you're going to do to block off the time to make it happen. Fourth is lower the bar to actually doing it. If you remove some of the emotional weight, but also remove the impediments, how can you make it as small as possible? I've shared this before, but when I started running, I couldn't run for even 10 minutes in a row. That's how out of shape I was, and which is not that bad. There's lots of other people who can't run for 1 minute, right? But I couldn't run, so I had to lower the activation energy in my mind. And what it looked like for me was all I had to do was put on my shoes and get out the door. That is such a low bar. The activation energy that's required for putting on your shoes and getting out the door is actually really low. And once you've done that, you're going to probably go for a little bit of a walk. You got your shoes on already, might as well, and it's a nice day out. And then once you've gone for a walk, you're like, oh, I might as well jog a little bit. And now you're actually running. Now you don't have to run a marathon, but just to get that going. And now you've done that today, and tomorrow it's going to be a little bit easier, and the day after that. And that's an example for running, but how can you ask yourself, what's the smallest amount that I can do so that I can actually make the activation energy required lower? So for me, when I have a hard time getting back into meditation, I'm like, let me just meditate for 1 minute. I'm going to sit down for 1 minute. I can do that. I got the time for a minute, right? If I'm trying to write, I'm like, let me just sit down and write a paragraph. Write a few bullet points on a list. That's all I have to do. And that gets the things flowing for me. So find the smallest amount possible. So get inspired, commit yourself, create some focus sessions, block them off on your calendar. Do it with others, actually, I think would be amazing. Join Fearless Living Academy. And then fourth is lower the bar. Just do the smallest bit possible. And once you've done that, keep going is easier than ever, but you just got to get started. Just get the ball rolling. It's easy to do that. Lower the bar, lower the emotional weight, and then just get going. Once you've done that, you're going to feel great. You're going to be moving. Movement begets more movement. Action begets more action. And that's what we're looking for, is to just get moving. And once you do, like, the rest is easy. Easier, at least. Okay, that's what I've got for you today. I highly encourage you to join Fearless Living Academy, fearlessliving.zenhabits.net. I also encourage you to subscribe to this channel for more great stuff on facing your resistance, overcoming these kinds of motivational challenges and avoidance, and actually taking action in your life. If you like more of that, subscribe. If you like this video and found it helpful, press the thumbs up button. It helps me to get in front of others, and that really means a lot to me. Leave a comment below on what helped you, what questions you have, what has been working for you, maybe something that I didn't mention. Love to hear from you. Okay, go get activated. Bye, everybody.